So this video, let's talk about, it's going to primarily go over the Second Amendment. And this is one in a series that I'll do on the town hall that I was at on the 29th of May, 2025. So, yeah, let's get after it. So, and at the end of this video, I'll clip on that segment, my own responses to things, and then Victoria Broderick's response to mine. And again, this was a town hall, not a debate. So the question was actually directed at me, and I answered it. To be fair, I don't think I did a very good job in that room of articulating probably in the manner that I should have. So that being said, you can watch what I said, and then but in this I'm going to talk about Victoria and her responses mainly, and that's because I found it very, very interesting, very insightful to sit there and just and hear the party line, the talking points. Yeah, so let's get into it. And the question was, basically, you want to repeal the NFA and the 1968 Gun Control Act. And again, they talked about, I'm not sure exactly what the question was, but that was the gist of it. And I said yes, because I do. Those two pieces of legislation are unconstitutional. And in this frame, they contexted about, it was to keep machine guns out of the hands of gangsters, and the 1968 was because of assassinations through the 60s. But has it reached its intended intent? The answer is no. And if you look back at the 1934 NFA, it was very specific. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and it was gang violence. And then additionally what drove that is there was an attempt on FDR's life. And so that was going to die until he got involved. It's like, we need to do something. And the attempt on his life was with a doggone pistol. Had nothing to do with machine guns. So, and then that 1934 NFA would have died at the Supreme Court also if the guy going to, fighting against it would have dang showed up. So, yeah, that's how we wound up with that. And again, we're trying to legislate this stuff, and that's kind of my question. And it probably shouldn't have involved the crowd in it, but it was fine. Because again, what legislation are you after? And we'll talk about it, but what common sense gun law do you want? And let's get that as a starting point. What law? And what they did in there was they talked about the closing the gun show loophole and the same nonsense that we always hear, because it's nonsense. So let's get into it. So she opens up with, fun fact, I'm a gun owner, and then she says, I even own two. Okay, that's awesome. And so I talked about in my first video kind of the setup. So here's what I offered Victoria. I offered her fighting pistol at Tactical Response. This is a 2-day pistol course in Camden, Tennessee. I offered to cover the tuition. I offered to cover her ammo as long as she's shooting 9mm. And then I offered to cover the lodging. The lodging, not that big of a stretch, just because at Tactical Response, they have a team room up there that you can coordinate with to stay there as long as there's room. So, but the other ones are, fairly significant. So and I said in my email that this weekend I'm going up there, and that's 7 and 8 June, with my daughters. My daughters are going to be going through the class. I'm going to be standing around, loading mags, whatever. I'll probably shoot a little bit or whatever. Standing around looking cool is what I think I said I would be doing. So I offered, hey, this weekend would be great for me, but if not, here's the website. Go look at the calendar and pick dates that work for you, fit into your schedule. So she replied and said, we are traveling this weekend, so it doesn't work for us. Have fun with your daughters. And then I replied to her email like, okay, and I laid out, here are the dates for the rest of the year. I don't think I said rest of the year in the email, but I said, here's the dates. I went to the website and listed all the dates for the rest of the year. And I told her, pick the date that fits your schedule, and I will go again. We'll talk a little bit down the road here, but I mean, well regulated in the context of when the document was written meant trained and proficient. That in good working order is what they meant by well regulated. So, but anyway, so that was the offer I have made to Victoria to attend those classes with me, or I don't care if she would just go and attend the class at Tactical Response with or without me. But that was the offer I made, to cover the tuition, ammo, as long as she's rocking the 9mm, that I would do that. So that was her fun fact for being a gun owner. And then I don't think the mics really picked it up, but some of the stuff. This was some of the stuff that was kind of talked about when I talked. Hey, it's gun owners' responsibility to be trained, which I agree with. However, they're just telling us that well-regulated part is necessary. So as a gun owner, you should seek out training, not just I bought it, I am going to spend a couple minutes at the range, and then I'm good. So so some of that stuff was picked up in there, but yeah. Okay, so she mentions Brett Cross and Uvalde, and talks about, kind of the thing is like, is it a radical idea to save one child? No, it isn't. And don't get me wrong, I've spent a fair amount of time today doing the homework, as she called it, and because she alleges that the videos they've taken out the cries of the kids to desensitize us to gun violence, which is not the case. I have watched, like I said, I've watched those videos, and the officers said that it was very quiet. They didn't know. And this was, where was this one? The Frontlines PBS is where I went to. And if you think PBS is on the side of gun ownership, you're wrong. But that's what the officers were saying, is that it was very quiet in there. And you can see in this documentary that it was a minute before they even realized there were kids in there. I'm not going to go into this big thing about Uvalde. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. Yeah, but we're all of us banging our heads against the wall because we don't want to harden the target. Anyway. That's not the thing. So the radical idea to save one child's life. So, and then my question, or was it hers? How many must die to save the one child? That is mine. How many are we willing to sacrifice to save that one child? And we have to deal with reality. Should we, we're fallen, sinful creatures. That's our nature. Unfortunate until the return. That's what we have to deal with. So we got to deal with reality. And then now, and we always hear that just one child. Well, without going into it, I'm gonna go through this stat, and I am gonna guarantee if we did this thing, we could save at least one child. And this particular thing is not dealt with in the Constitution, because that's the first thing you gotta look at, is what I'm trying to do constitutional. So here's where I got. So how many must die? Okay, so 2024, the NHTSA estimates, and this is the National Highway Transportation, whatever, our highway guys, estimates there were 39,343 traffic fatalities in 2024. How about we get rid of cars? If we just walked everywhere, we could save at least one child. That completely ridiculous. That is a completely ridiculous statement to say. Because you look at the other side of it. How many people are saved because of ambulances? How many people are saved because they got a ride to the hospital? So to try and regulate this thing with this emotional pull to save just one life, and all life is precious. I get that, but we can't legislate it down. I mean, we all have an expiration date, and until you pull your emotion out of it a little bit, yeah, get rid of the cars. Why no push to get rid of the cars? That is, like I said, that's not even in the Constitutional. Your right to have a car. So there is that. She talks about in there. Says I don't worry about it in other countries. Okay, fair enough. But if we just take a look at the rates, and I will say, where did I get this one? WorldPopulationReview.com, and this is homicide in general. Homicide rate in the USA in 2023 was 5.92 per 100,000. According to those guys, we were number 10, and that's just straight homicide. That doesn't, it's just homicide murders. That's it. And so that was okay. So 2023, the stats, a total of 19,796 gun-related murders in 2023, which was, Pew Research has it at 17,927. USAFacts.org between January and August of 2024 had it at 30.1K had died by guns, just by guns. But then they told you that 55% of those deaths were suicides. So, I mean, and are you going to save, are you going to extend this person's life that was going to commit suicide and just chose a gun? Yeah, maybe some, but at the end of the day, that it is what it is. And then, like I said, back up to the traffic stats, 39,000, just over 39,000 in cars. So very, very, very similar things, and that's what and this is off of that one. All right, we can hear my dogs. That's good. We'll work through it. So for context, and like I said, this was off of USAFacts.org so they said 13.7 out of 100K died from gun-related injury, and less than or over half homicides. For context, about 12.9 out of 100,000K died in motor vehicle accidents. So, yeah, that's where we are. Now I'm gonna jump back to Uvalde for just a minute. And that rifle that he purchased legally. That kid had just turned 18, was mad, angry, whatever, but he purchased it legally. So what, in that specific instance, since that's what we came up with, what gun law would we propose that would have prevented Uvalde? Again, tragic. I can't even imagine for those parents that went through it. On the other side of that, Sandy Hook, if you remember that one, that dude, if I'm recalling it right, I didn't look it up today, but he killed his own mother to get his guns. They were hers, and he killed her, I think it was the mother, and then took the gun and went and did his thing. I mean, so either side, if someone is intent on doing this, they're going to do it. Same thing with using a vehicle to run people down, mow through the crowd. We've had that recently, but again, no big shouts out for these big cries of we just saved one life, we get rid of the cars, these assault cars. Stop it! Just stop with that stuff. It's tired, and yeah, I'm tired of it. And she brings in knife as a passion, a crime. I'd say any of it's a passion or a crime of passion. Crime is crime. Why you do it is to me. I mean, other than we do it so we can try and figure out what we can do to prevent it. But at the end of the day, let's put the hammer down on people and actually hold them responsible for their actions and accountable. So yeah, I was just like, yeah, that was something. I don't know why she did that. But yes, I mean that it is up close and personal, and if you've done some knife training, you understand. And yeah, not a good time. She made the assertion in there that the sound of the children crying was removed to desensitize us to gun violence. You know, I kind of want to keep a dialogue going, but I'm gonna call BS on this one. And I say that, so I looked at the WFAA channel on YouTube, and they're an ABC channel 8, and they at the beginning they put that and there actually is a part in there where you can, at least it sounded like to me, where you could hear the kids scream, which doesn't really mesh with the, you know, like all those officers saying, and it was silent, but that's what it sounded like on there. But they put out at the beginning of it that you know, some of the stuff was blurred out, and they cut it, they edited it, but that stuff was out of respect to the family of the victims. So I would like to know how she came across, you know, Victoria, if you watch this, how did you come across the assertion that they took out all the sound of the kids to desensitize us to violence, or the gun violence? I'd be curious to know, because like I said, all those officers said, yeah, no, it was quiet. And if you watch that PBS, and that was Frontline's PBS, like they just, officer after officer, yeah, it was quiet. And you can see, like in the video, they do the time hacks, and one of the guys that was proning out wanted to get out of the hallway, so he opened the door and like checked in, and I was like, oh, there's kids in here. And so that's when they started evacuating. Yeah, them dudes were in there for like all that time and had no clue. So anyway, now let's go to the next bit of it, which she talks about. Commas are important, and she goes into a grammar lesson. And I'm going to say that context is maybe a little bit more important than the commas. And here's where I'm going with this. So let's take a look. And I have, this is the 1917 Society is what I'm using for celebrating our Constitution and U.S. citizenship. This is the version I'm using. So she, and like I said, watch it afterwards. Stick around for that video, or that portion of the video. But she reads us the Second Amendment and emphasizes the commas, which is okay, awesome. And then is trying to get me to believe that this is for the government to regulate us. So again, context. So let's talk about what it comes ahead of it. What comes ahead of 2 is 1. And what does the First Amendment cover? So this Constitution shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, comma, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So that's a restriction on government for our individual rights. Are we with me? Okay, so what comes after 2 is 3. So the Third Amendment, no soldier shall in the time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in a time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So again, this is a restriction on government and what they can do to us personally. The Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures. Again, what does this cover? Restriction on the government. Restriction on the government over what they can do to us as individuals. Let's go to number 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except, okay, so again, what does this cover? No person, so individual. Again, a restriction on government and how they must treat us. So that's 5. Let's go to 6. In all criminal prosecutions, The accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. Okay, and all the other stuff. What is this? It's an individual. This is telling the government how they must treat us, and restrictions on them. Okay, let's go to 7. It suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right to a trial by jury. So again, this is individual. So individual in the civil suits. You have a right to trial by jury. All right, so 7, let's go to 8. Excessive bail shall not be required. So again, this is on me, the individual, telling the government, stay off my back with some excessive nonsense. So an individual, it's covering the individual right. 9, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. That's us, the individuals. So again, another restraint on our federal government and how it deals with us as individuals. And then the 10th Amendment is for the states, that says anything not, the powers not delegated to the United States. And again, this is powers that we gave them and restrictions. So powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So even we the people are mentioned in 10. So with this comma logic, you're telling me that our founding fathers just like randomly in these first 10 amendments, they're like, oh yeah, this deal about guns, and it doesn't even say guns, it says arms, the the right to bear arms. Is they just like were like, yeah, we need the government to regulate this. Let's walk a little bit of the history on it. Back in April of 1775, what were the regulars coming to get at Lexington and Concord? They were coming to get rifles. They were coming to get powder and cannon and that stuff. That's what started the shooting portion of it. So now, after having just fought a revolution that was kicked off by the British, the regular soldiers coming to these towns to confiscate their firearms, you're trying to tell me that the founding fathers or the framers of the Constitution were like, oh yeah, we got to control these boys and their muskets. I'm not buying it. So that's where we are. So I would just like some again, that's stuff from the crowd. I'll just talk briefly on this. They weren't planning for ARs to be a thing. Well, no. Who can you tell me 200 years from now what type of stuff we'll be using to defend ourselves from a tyrannical government or defend ourselves from a criminal element within our society? No, you absolutely cannot. So that's why they put a guiding principle in there as arms. That's it. And that's why it says arms and not muskets. So, just the rationale just blows my mind. Common sense gun laws. Okay, please tell me what new law would we put on the books to do this? Because I'm with you. Again, let's back up and try and just attack the violence and not gun violence. Because again, the root of gun violence is violence. The root of gun control is control. And then that's what we're after, is to be able to control a population. So, but lay out a plan for me. What law would you submit to the people that, me as a gun owner be like, okay, because we can discuss it. I said the Second Amendment says what it says, and it says it for a reason. But I'm willing to listen to your conversation. And then if you don't like the Second Amendment that much, go through the process to amend the Constitution. It's there, and it's there for a reason. If that many of us are that passionate about it, then let's go get your figure it out how to do it. But to keep like chipping away and like, hey, we got to do this another thing in the gun laws, and no, stop it. we have got to look at things from a different angle, and how better to protect our kids, protect ourselves. And like I said, for me, let's get rid of the 1934 NFA, 1968, all this nonsense that is unconstitutional. And put stuff back to the states. So there we go. I went along with this one. Plus, you've got the actual video clip, and I cut it down. So all you got to do is watch that particular section. And if you care to stick around, you made it this far. Hey, I appreciate you. If you would do the things, the likes, the comments, the shares. And and let everybody know it's time to change. We have got to change the way we look at things in our dialogue in this country, without going into even stuff that has just happened over the weekend. Absolute nonsense. And you know, I don't know. We can't keep doing what we're doing, because we are going to fail as a nation on a couple different levels. So I said, appreciate you. Do the things. You want to get in with the campaign, hit us up, tomdavistn4@gmail.com. Leave comments. You can contact me there. But the website, tomdavistn4.com. You can contact us through there. If you like contributing to the cause, go to winred.com. And Tennessee U.S. House, and contribute. My ask $20 to $50 a month for the duration. Let's get after it. So there we go. Like I said, I do appreciate it. Stick around afterwards for that last clip if you are so inclined. Outside of that, until the next one, keep your powder dry.
Okay. Well, actually, I guess this question is addressed to you, Tom. So maybe we should let you go first.
And I guess I failed to mention that I only take the easy questions.
Yeah. All right, Tom, you want to repeal the 1934 NFA gun law, enacted to keep machine guns and explosives out of the hands of gangsters. Also, you wish to repeal the 1968 gun law enacted after multiple assassinations and civil unrest at the time. Have these laws restricted your access to assault rifles, and are you trying to solve a problem or get NRA money?
So yes, the 1934 National Firearms Act and the 1968 Gun Control Act are both indeed unconstitutional and should be repealed. I am a life member of the NRA, but I am not receiving money from them. So that's that question. You cannot tell me, or if and I'll even open it up. Do we not have enough gun laws on the books? No. So what gun law would you propose to end gun violence? We already have that. Yes, we do. Yep. Every time I've bought a firearm, I have to go through a background check. Okay, fair enough. Individual sales. Individual sales. No, gun shows you must buy them. You must go through the NICS check. Yes, you must. Now, are we attacking a tool or the problem? And the problem is that we are fallen, sinful creatures. Now, how we can alleviate this is actually punish the crimes. Because you're not going to legislate good behavior. Look overseas, they took away the guns, and what are they dealing with now? They're taking knives. Taking the guns is not the answer. And it's in the Constitution. If you want to take that, then follow the movement, follow the Constitution, and amend it. Until then, shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed.
Give everybody a musket.
It doesn't specify muskets. They're regulating knives now because they did not get rid of the violence. The root word in gun violence is violence. You are not dealing with the root word, which is violence. When you restrict my ability as a citizen to defend myself and to defend the Constitution if it's necessary. I don't disagree that as an individual.
People on the street should not be able to walk in, buy an assault rifle, and without any training.
I do not disagree that as an individual gun owner, it is upon you and incumbent upon you to receive that training. Yes. As the Constitution is written, it is not required. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I didn't interrupt that interplay because you did open it up and ask for comments, but yeah, unless it's requested, we won't do that again. But I mean, if you wish to have interplay, I'm open to that if that's what you want.
Fair enough. I broke the rules. That's on me.
No. I mean, yeah. I just have the rule here for you. If you want to interact, that's fine. But if you don't, then I'll enforce that. Okay. Yeah. Would you? I mean, that was directed at him. But if you want to address that topic, feel free. You have your 3 minutes.
All right. So, fun fact: I am a gun owner. And I have 2 at home, and I'm a good shot. Ask my husband. So. I disagree. We need legislation. As a responsible gun owner, it's on me, the owner, to take charge and address the problem in our country. And before I tell you the story that I'm about to, this is a story that I was brought to my attention and the way that they describe this. So, I have become friends with Brett Cross. If you guys don't know who Brett Cross is, he lost his son at Uvalde. I have no reason to know his son Uzi, to hear an AI-generated voice of Uzi. I've talked extensively with Brett. I've seen his suffering, his wife's suffering, his siblings' suffering. That should not happen in our country, period. End of story. Like, I don't understand is it a radical idea to think that if I can save one child's life, that one family can come home and their child come home and not have to worry about it? Isn't that worth it to just give it up? Yes. Life is important, right? We want to protect the children, right? We want to make sure they're safe. Other countries don't do that. Another fun fact, I'm a dual citizen. I don't have this problem when I go out of the country. When I go to England to spend time with my family, I don't have to worry about these things. Because a knife is a crime of passion in my belief. Because you have to get real close to someone to get them with a knife. Unless you're doing some medieval fighting, which, look, if someone wants to take me out with a sword, let's go. I'm a millennial. Let's go. But, all right, so I've told you the story about Brett. And one of the things that you'll find, and I want you all to do this when you leave here, I'm going to give you homework. I want you to go home and look up the video footage from Uvalde. The sound of children crying has been removed. That is on national television to desensitize you to gun violence. And speaking of the Second Amendment, let's get into that because this is your other homework. A well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. Those commas mean something. I'm not good at English, but I understand that the commas mean something. My teacher in the back's like, she learned something. She learned something, yes. But that's important. They weren't planning for ARs to be a thing when they wrote that. I don't know about you, but some 250-year-old man who did whatever he was doing at that time should not be influencing how the guns look today. So let's make common sense gun laws, and let's be, as gun owners, responsible and taking the charge.